For my last video series, I read an article that I had wrote about Barack Obama's Christianity, and this was for the blog site called Clashing Culture. And this video series will also be a reading of one of my posts to this same Clashing Culture site. And the name of this article is the same as the name of this video series, that is the Pre-Religion and Pre-Human Roots of Morality. Now this post is actually pretty much a copy and paste of one of my many essay-length endnotes from my book, Dialogue with a Christian Proselytizer. I start this Clashing Culture blog post out by explaining how this endnote essay fits in with the larger context of my book. All right, so here's the preface that I start out with. Preface. The main body of my book, Dialogue with a Christian Proselytizer, is a Socratic dialogue between two characters, a Christian proselytizer and a skeptic. The skeptic does not discuss atheism, but instead tentatively accepts, for argument's sake, the Christian's premises that there is a creator of sorts, that this said creator has made some sort of communication effort with mankind, and that the fundamentalists are correct in their assessment that one religion is from God, the rest are man-made. The two characters then discuss non-Christian religions, and the skeptic gets the proselytizer to pinpoint the telltale signs of the human authorship of foreign faiths by three criteria. A, they're pieced together from pre-existing religions. B, their holy laws are often based on irrational prejudices and erroneous conclusions about cause and effect. And C, their stories contain inaccurate and earthbound descriptions of the universe. Stars that are tiny, a moon that shines its own light, a sun that orbits a flat and stationary earth, etc. With those premises established, the discussion then turns to examining Christianity by the same light held up to the non-Christian religions. Using the Socratic method means that the skeptic does not have to argue with the Christian, but instead the Christian is forced to defend himself against his own accusations, his own description of a religion created not by an almighty architect of the universe, but by the flawed mind of man. Yet, although I found this to be an effective way to discuss skepticism of organized religion, I have not found the Socratic method to be an effective way to discuss atheism. For example, I have yet to discover a good way to use a theist's own arguments against himself when it comes to topics such as evolution. To make up for this drawback, I expand upon the two characters' discussions with numerous essay-length endnotes, essays that explore the way that the non-theistic perspective of our origins and our ethics can make sense out of life with a clarity and coherence unmatched by any variety of theism. This essay on the roots of morality is one of those endnotes, the first in a series that I plan on posting in the months ahead. All right, I'm going to stop reading for a second from my blog and just mention that in my 2008 revision of Dialogue with the Christian Proselytizer, the endnotes have grown to about 25% of the book. Here, as you can see, the book, and this part makes up the main dialogue between the two characters. And then here at the end, we have a full about 64 pages or so just of the endnote essays. Also, by the way, if anyone wants free PDF sample chapters of my book, you can get them on my publisher site, booklocker.com. You just go to the site, booklocker.com, and under the search field, you can just put in my name or put in the title of my book. All right, one more thing on the subject of books. The main reference source that I used for this particular essay is this book here, Frans de Waal's Our Inner Ape, a leading primatologist explains why we are who we are. Now, I didn't read this book until after I had already published the 2006 edition of my book. But this book here is one of the reasons I felt I had to revise my own. I feel that Our Inner Ape includes so many great insights into human nature, particularly in the areas of empathy and altruism and violence, conflict resolution, notions of fairness, and scapegoating, that I felt my own book was missing a certain depth without having de Waal's insights, that I really couldn't be satisfied with my own book until I revised it to include some excerpts from Our Inner Ape. All right, continuing on with the pre-religion, pre-human roots of morality. A common refrain from apologists for religion is that the existence of a supreme and just being is the only possible explanation for human ethics. How else, they ask, could we have a conscience that values honesty, loyalty, kindness, and compassion, and condemns stealing, assault, rape, and murder? Blind natural selection, they say, couldn't possibly produce anything akin to morality. For a world whose creatures came about by nothing more than a brutal struggle for survival would value little more than raw power. Non-theists, of course, see things differently. Yet even in the secular world, it's common to think of aggressive competition as the key component in natural selection. We tend to think of our tendencies for violence as something that's part of our animal history, and that our cooperative and compassionate tendencies represent our humanity, or humaneness, the side of us that has risen above our animal nature. Yet victories in the struggle for survival and reproductive success can take many forms, and caring and cooperation can sometimes be just as crucial as competition. Cooperative traits are widespread in just about all animals that live in social groups, as social animals need to work together in order to raise their young, warn each other of predators, and hunt their food, and fight their enemies. I'll give some bullet point examples here. Wolves depend on teamwork to bring down large prey, such as caribou or moose. African wild dogs will carry fresh meat back for the babysitters who stayed at home with the cubs during the hunt. Harris hawks live in groups with well-defined divisions of labor. Certain hawks have the role of rearing and protecting the young, while others never visit the nest, but do the hunting and share the food. Dolphins will try to save companions trapped in tuna nets, and one or more dolphins will work together to help a sick or injured dolphin stay close to the surface to prevent it from drowning. All right, last one here. Vampire bats that have had a successful night on the town demonstrate an altruism of sorts by regurgitating blood for companions that have been less successful. Parenthetical note here. Reciprocal altruism, however, is the rule, for a bat that fails to share will in turn be denied when the tables are turned. Right. In his book, Our Inner Ape, primatologist Frans de Waal's extensive study of apes reveal that even advanced forms of what may be called ethics, as demonstrated in acts of empathy, altruism, conflict resolution, notions of fairness, etc., are not unique to humans. Examples of ape altruism include caring for injured companions, cleaning each other's wounds, slowing down and waiting for those who move slowly, and carrying fruit down from the trees for elders who have lost their climbing abilities. An example of empathy for those outside their own species was caught on videotape, and this is also widely available on the web, when a gorilla named Binti Jua rescued a 3-year-old boy who had fallen into the primate exhibit at Chicago's Brookfield Zoo. She scooped him up, carried him to safety, cradled him in her lap, gently patted him on the back until the zoo staff arrived. Now, the media highlighted this as something remarkable and hailed Binti Jua as a hero, but de Waal notes that empathy of this sort among apes is an everyday occurrence, yet newsworthy only when compassion is directed toward humans. All right, conflict resolution is next. That'll be in part 2.